Hey YouTube, so it is May 19th and it's 42 degrees. Yeah, so got a lot of things that are doing well. My apple blossoms are on the apple trees and I'm just praying that it doesn't go down to freezing and kill the apple blossom. You know guys, I get a lot of comments about doing things differently than I do them. And we all do things differently. It doesn't really matter how you do things as long as you end up with the right thing. What I want to say though is just to give you an idea of the concept of this doing things differently than someone else. If you notice, I have sawdust in my bucket here. This is from the planer from making molding. Because it's easy for me to take the dust from inside the garage here and just throw it into the bucket and then dump it on my pile over there. Well, we could say, you know, it would be a lot easier on the backhoe if you used a wheelbarrow. And that's true. I mean, I could use the wheelbarrow. But it's not easier on me if I used the wheelbarrow. I'm going to do a couple of little comparisons like that here because this is how funny the comments seem to me. Here's another good example. I could walk Bullseye and walk with them, or I could use the four-wheeler. It would be easier on the four-wheeler if I walked Bullseye. However, if you take notice, the road is muddy and that's not easier on me. So I'm taking the four-wheeler. You know, it would be a lot easier on my lawnmower if I did not cut the grass. But then I can't see the rattlesnakes slithering through the grass during the summer. I think I'll sacrifice the lawnmower. Guys, I guess what I'm trying to say is we all make choices, and our choices, a lot of times one thing is sacrificed for something else. I mean, for the good of the general public, we put electric lines everywhere, but they're not really good for, I don't know, maybe birds flying or tall trucks going by. I don't know. But what I'm getting at here is everything gets sacrificed one way or another. That's what using things is about. I mean, we sacrifice the trees for the lumber. I am sacrificing this Porter cable planer in what I'm doing. People have said it's too small, it's this, it's a baby toy or tinker toy. I've heard the term. You're not understanding. Something has to be sacrificed. So I bought a good sawmill. I bought what I thought was a planer that was going to last, and it is lasting. It can cut 1/8 of an inch, it says in the book and in the specs for it, so that's what I do with it. You know, I sacrificed the area that the thing here takes up, the kiln, only because I need to dry the wood. So I sacrificed the space I had and some of the trees. So this is the way things are in life. You know, sometimes we sacrifice things for the better of something else. And we all choose over that. You know, we choose what to do. I mean, my neighbor doesn't have a sawmill, so he doesn't need the kiln. And he has the space where the kiln would take up. Maybe he's parking his car there. I don't know. But I find it funny in the comments, and I'm not laughing at any person. I'm laughing at the comments because I find myself doing the same thing. You know, we choose what we like to do. We choose what we want, and the outcome is something that we choose to make it happen. We make it be that. Okay, if I can plane all this wood that I have to plane that's in there yet, and I'm about 1/3 of the way down, no, 1/4 of the way down. If I can plane it all, I save the money on buying a bigger plane, and I still have this small one. And I don't know how else to explain it, but that's what happens with a lot of people. They don't realize that people make choices, and it doesn't matter, you know, what your choice is. I mean, it's only it matters to you. If you have a moral sense about you, then the moral sense will guide you in your choice. If you are money motivated, then money will guide you in your choice. So something has to suffer or be sacrificed for something else. That's the nature of things. It's the way things work. I mean, you know, just because somebody has a job, you know, what do we sacrifice? We sacrifice a rubber tree for tires. We sacrifice steel or iron ore for the car frame. We sacrifice gasoline that doesn't come back to us, you know, as far as we know, you know, just by using it up. So there's only so many square feet of place, and there's only so many of us, and you know, we take up more space. We take up ideas that, you know, someone else may not like, but we use them because, like I said, it's either money motivated, or it's morally motivated, or some kind of accepted rule or paradigm or whatever, you know. And I do what I do because that's how I do it. It's the first thing that comes to me, and I do it because that's what I do. I think the best thing of all is that you're doing something. Now, you know, you can even argue with that. We can say, okay, you got this operation going here. Why not shut all this down, replant the trees, and go back in the house and watch TV? Well, first of all, I don't have cable. I don't like cable TV. I don't even want to watch cable TV. So I do this instead. So instead of paying for the cable, paying for a new TV every so often, you know, buying a new sofa because my big butt was sitting on it for years, I decided to put the money here instead. So we all have these choices, and we all have to make them. And I find it funny in the comments when people say, you could have done this or you could have done that. It's true, I could have. And I like the comments because a lot of times it tells you a whole lot about the person that you're talking to. But not only does it tell you about the person, it tells you about yourself, because it'll tell you what you are leaning towards and what you're not leaning towards, or what's your motivator. And I try and watch out for things like that, because I don't want to be motivated by money necessarily, even though a lot of people think I am, but I'm not. And I don't want to be motivated by someone else's ideas, because I don't think there's another man on earth who's worth following completely, you know. But there's people who I like some of this or I like some of that, but I don't like the whole thing. So that it makes life very interesting. It's very interesting. Well, guys, believe it or not, like I said, it's the 19th of May. It's 42 degrees out, and this is insanity. I feel like I need gloves. I mean, I'm wearing a sweatshirt now. My hands are freezing. I just hope it doesn't go down below 32 tonight, so our trees don't lose their blossoms, our apple trees. It's getting foggy. The rain has stopped, but it's foggy, so anyway. And today is this... Boy, I'll probably goof this up. Today's Saturday. Yeah, it's Saturday, so I'm wondering if it is the 19th. Well, I hope so. Alright, have a good one. Bye. Hey, YouTube. There's 31 by 6 there, and 31 by 8. Now, I've already taken some off the 1 by 8 pile, because I'm ripping them down to be able to cut molding out of them. What I'm going to do is cut molding out of the 1 by 8, and leave the 1 by 6 as they are, because the 1 by 6 can be used for door jambs, window sills, extension jambs, but the 1 by 8, 3 pieces out of it equals 3 pieces of molding. So that's what I've been doing. These gloves have like a rubber backing on them. When you get older, your skin tends to dry out a little bit, and this rubber helps you to grab stuff. The shiny boards, like the smooth boards, are really hard for me to grab a hold of and hang on to with the dry skin. It doesn't grip the boards right. So anyway, as you saw, I was cutting 1x8 into 1x2.5 to put through the planer, and that's it there. So there's a lot more yet. Altogether I need 150 pieces of casing. So I have 30 up at the garage right now, or I mean up at the house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, 24. There's probably around 40 there at the moment that I'll be able to turn into casing. And I'll have another, I think, 40 I believe, from what's left there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there'll be at least 40 more boards there. Rip the 1x8s into 1x2.5, and that'll be good for the molding then. And this, like I say, the 1x6 I'll use for other stuff. I want to stack that in the greenhouse as soon as I can before it gets any more sun than it has to. I'll tell you, that wood is really dry coming out of the kiln. And that planer, that Porter cable planer is working like a champ. I think it's working better now than it was when I first got it. So anyway, this is how I do it if I use the table saw. You can use a table saw or the wood miser. It all depends on the size board you have. Yeah, I don't know if you know this or not. I'm sure some of you do. The problem with circular saw blades is that the blade heats up easily because there's not a lot of surface area to it. This is only a 10-inch blade. And by the way, this is a 10-inch ProTech saw. I've had this saw for, I don't know, at least 15 years, at least. And it's been running very well. It shuts the breaker off sometimes when it gets a little warmed up, but you can cut quite a bit of wood. I mean, I cut all these 1x here at one time, at one single cutting with these, time at cutting. But just now the saw started getting a little weird because as it warms up, the blade warps. And when the blade warps, it starts cutting a wider kerf than it should, and it also wanders in the wood a little bit. A lot of guys don't understand with circular saws. The reason you can't cut a straight line with a circular saw sometimes is two things. One is either the saw blade itself is too hot and it won't cut a straight line because it's warped, or the shaft where the arbor is moves in and out. Whenever I buy a saw, and I'll show it to you on this saw, whenever I buy a saw, what I do is I grab a hold of this part and see if I can pull this in and out. If you can pull this in and out like you can on all Black & Decker saws, then you're not worth buying them. The ones that repeatedly do not move in and out are Makita. I got this saw just because I felt I wanted to buy a second saw, but I have a Makita in my truck that I really like. But I use this for just knocking around. So I'm letting this thing cool off a little bit, and then I want to cut the rest of the 1x8 that's on the bucket here. Back up a little. Yeah, just this right here. Once I cut that, that's it. The rest of it's going in the greenhouse on the pile. Because I like being in the cool. So that's what I've been working on today. I took all the boards that are over there. There were 60 boards. I planed on the planer this morning. I want to sharpen the blade now and put a new blade on the planer. I still didn't use my blades from the factory yet. I'm still using the ones that I sharpened. So as long as they keep doing a good job for me, I'm going to stay using them. Yeah, so anyway, that stuff was all planed over by the kiln, and now I'm cutting it so that I can make, tomorrow's supposed to rain, and then I'll be able to make molding tomorrow even if it does rain. I just want to show you how low I am in the kiln here. I don't know what time it is. I guess it's almost 4 o'clock. My back is telling me it's almost 4. You can see in the kiln there how far down I am. I've got about, I don't know, maybe 6 layers there. Yeah. There's some random boards in there, random widths and random lengths. So, I found another guy who wants sawdust so I can get rid of more sawdust. Yeah, so when I finish these couple boards, ripping them, and I finish planing all of these, that'll be all of the casing that I need for the house. Then I'm going to have to start cutting molding and also crown molding, base molding and crown molding. Okay, so we've got all the 1x8 cut, and now I'm going to put this 1x6 in here. The problem with this is I've got some oddball sizes. The 1x6 is getting way too high here. Got 1x8, 1x9, 1x12. Okay. This has all been planed. The stuff that I'm putting away has been planed. This 1x6. A lot of it is really nice. Some of it needs to be ripped down into something else. I mean, you can see this board here is beautiful. The one underneath it is nice. A lot of nice 1x6 red oak here. I don't know if I told you this in the video. I know I said it in a comment. That molding, that red oak molding that I'm cutting is $13 a piece. Per piece now. Down at Lowe's. $13 a piece. The other day I cut 30, and those 1x2.5 blanks that I have in there, whew, man, I'm feeling it. It's close to quitting time. It's like 10 after 4. Those 2.5-inch blanks that I have in there, there's enough in there to make 110 pieces of molding altogether, and that'll finish me up as far as the case molding goes, the colonial casing. Except, you know, there might be some wrong cuts that I'll make. There may be some boards that have marks in them that I don't want to use, but I added about 5% for waste, and I cut that much extra 1x8. So these boards that you see me grabbing 3 at a time down at Lowe's, they're around 32 bucks a board. So it's like $100, almost $100 a handful. That's what I like to see. Let's see here. These are 1x4. buy one, but okay. So that adds to the kitty plus all the molding. So that's a good day's work. And when you're on retirement, that's quit time. Or whatever else time I feel like it. For those of you guys who are keeping track of our hydroponics, my wife was in here today and cleaned all the buckets, lined up all the pipe to run into the overflow pipe. Oh, she did a nice job in there. Very nice. So now these buckets all get filled with perlite, and as soon as those plants over there in here and here get a little taller, then we'll plant them in the buckets and start feeding them every day. Have a good one, guys. Nice day today. It is supposed to rain tomorrow. It's Monday. Not too many clouds up there. I guess they're, what do they call them ones? Anyway, have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good one. Bye.